Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I am Chris, joined by Michela, and we are not joined by Nick because Nick is wrestling anacondas in Suriname. So he's living his best life. He's forgotten about us. We're dead to him, and yeah, that's fine. Nick, we don't need you. We can continue on, and that's totally fine. We're going to continue to forget about you and trash you when you're not here, and that's absolutely fine. I think is justified. So yes, we will carry the show without you, Nick. We don't need you. So there we go. No, all seriousness, we're really happy for Nick. He's having an awesome time, and if you're not following him on Instagram, you should be. He's yeah, amazing stuff going on for him in Suriname, and I can't wait to get there next year. It's going to be awesome, amazing place. So good job, Nick. Proud of you. But yeah, I mean, how are you doing, Michela? I guess you're in Massachusetts and slowly fading away in the heat of the fog of Massachusetts. So yeah, how are you doing? Are you okay? Do we have to have
Yes.
attention?
No, maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering most of the question that yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you, Chris. I'm great, everyone. I'm have had a couple glasses of wine and I haven't had wine in a minute, so I'm doing good, everyone. I'm fine. Massachusetts is fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine. And everybody should understand the time right now in where she is 7:40 p.m. It's
Yes,
late in the evening. We're doing this.
Friday.
Usually do the show in the day. It's okay. She's not day drinking at 11 a.m. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but she's not day drinking on a weekday at 11 a.m. Don't worry. It's okay. She's allowed to
I
have
haven't had wine in a minute.
there's no need to have an intervention for her drinking. Okay.
I'm okay. And
If I had any alcohol available to me, I would be the same. I would be trashed after one glass as well. So I feel the pain of losing weight and being tired and being overwhelmed and then having one drink and it just wipes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I moved this past weekend and my landlord has been just absolutely insane.
Like place. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I moved to the subunit downstairs. My landlord has been over every single day and texting me every single day and absolutely making me lose my mind. So I had 2 glasses of wine for it.
Sounds very fun.
It's been quite a day. Anyways, how are you, Chris?
I am very tired myself, very overwhelmed, very just wishing I could clone myself or wishing that I could stop time for a week to catch up on my work. But this is or stop time for a week to catch up on my wine consumption. So yes, I feel your pain, Michela. I think this is the joys of being in the middle of the field season when it's busy and yep, this is what we love. This is what we live for, right? So, yeah, I'm very tired, as you can probably even tell my eyes. Even this is after a 2-hour nap this afternoon. I still feel like I could go to sleep for about a week. So,
yeah.
And we've also started the hot season here. The really hot weather has kicked in. So now it's in like for those American viewers, we're in the 90s every day, and 99% humidity at all times. Obviously, that never changes. Yeah, it's pretty 90s to low hundreds is pretty much every day, and yep, no wind and no rain, and yeah, so beautiful time of the year in the Amazon. But other than that, everything's okay, and surviving, loving it. We're so excited about our life.
We're dying, everyone.
This is just reality. We don't pull any punches in this show. The viewers know that sometimes it's a tough life, but still, I don't think we trade this type of life for something else. I'd rather be dying slowly physically in this life than somehow getting 8 hours of sleep but working in a normal job. So that's kind of the choice we made, right?
Job.
We know it. Yeah, so this week's guest, let's move on to the reason we have the show this week, is Alex Troutman. And Alex is a wildlife biologist, fish and wildlife biologist that I know both you, Michela, and myself have been following for quite a few years on social media.
Yeah.
And I've chatted with him a few times as well, but I've never gotten a chance to meet him in person yet. Hopefully that'll change one day. But yeah, we reached out to him to see if he'd want to be on a guest on the show to talk about a lot of topics, in particular, Black in STEM and the Black community's engagement in wildlife biology and ecology, which is obviously very lacking, very low, and then the reasons for that and sort of his perspective. So, I'm really excited to hear, his views and have him elaborate on it because, you and me, Michela, we could talk about this all we want, but we don't know what it's like. We don't have no idea what this perspective is.
Absolutely.
So having him on the show to explain it and give his perspective, and that is really, really awesome. I'm really excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a really awesome show, really insightful show. So I can't wait to speak to him. And yeah, without further ado, go ahead and jump to it and get to the interview. All right, welcome back to the show, everyone, and thank you for joining us. And yeah, our guest this week is Alex Troutman, and Alex is a fish and wildlife biologist who's also got a really deep passion and interest in environmental education and reaching the younger generation of biologists and ecologists. And Alex is someone that I think both myself and I think I can speak for you as well, Michela, have sort of followed from afar and chatted to a little bit off and on through social media, and really been impressed with the field work and also the outreach that you've done, Alex. And yeah, it was just a really great opportunity for us to connect after a few missed opportunities and schedules conflicts, which is always the problem with biologists these days, especially in the summer. We finally made it work, even if it is dark and our cameras are a little grainy. We're making it work in the afternoon here in the evening. So yeah, I really appreciate you joining us, Alex. Super happy to have you on the show. And yeah, if you could give our listeners and viewers a little bit of background about yourself, where you've been, what you're doing, and what your current work is, that would be awesome,
man. Yeah, thank y'all for having me. So, again, I'm Alex Troutman. I go by Nature out on social media. So I like to say that I'm a cool-tip biologist. That's because I work with many different species, from butterflies to sea turtles and bats. And I've been doing this since 2014, starting out as a park ranger, educating the youth about different species and defense mechanisms, and leading nature hikes as a park ranger in Allegheny County, to eventually working at Zoo Atlanta and the Georgia Aquarium as an environment educator. And then I finally got to start with the Fish and Wildlife Service as a butterfly biologist within the state of Wisconsin, working with the Conner blue butterfly, endangered species. I did that for a couple of years, and well, not really a couple of years. I did that for a couple months, a year to be exact, and then I got a job working with the National Park Service as a sea turtle biologist, working mainly with Kent's Ridley sea turtle down in Padre Island National Seashore, but also working with green sea turtles and loggerhead sea turtles as well. And I did that for about 2 years before I decided to go out to Malaysia and work with bats in Borneo, looking at the diversity and abundance of bats in the Crocker Range National Forest there. And then I came back, and within 2 days, literally hopped on a boat for about 14 days working as an endangered species observer. And then I did that for about 4.5 months before I went to grad school. I actually got accepted to grad school while I was on the boat, and had to move from the Gulf of Mexico down to Statesboro, Georgia, within 5 days of getting accepted into the grad school program. So I did the grad school for 2 years, and in between grad school, I worked as a biologist in Manassas, Virginia, at the battlefield there. And then I also worked as a duck and waterfowl biologist in Louisiana, all while also doing my master's project on birds and wetlands in South Georgia. And in between those times, excuse me, in between those times, I worked. Really, what my passion was helping to engage individuals into the natural resources, into nature, especially those that are historically excluded from the natural resource field in nature, those that are Black, Indigenous, people of color, and of lower economic status. There's a lot of different systemic barriers that block us from getting into the natural resource field, and just nature in general, from lack of transportation, the financial constraints, but also for many people of colors, it is the harassment and the unsafe and unwelcome feeling when we do go into nature, especially if we go into nature alone. So much of my work has been advocating for us, those individuals who have been excluded from nature or who feel unsafe in nature, and getting them into nature and showing that we all belong in nature and that nature is for everyone, regardless of your race, your your gender identity, your religious background, that we all have a part in nature and we all belong. Just like nature is diverse, the world is diverse, and with nature being as diverse as it is, we as biologists know that when one of the animals or insects is lost, that can be catastrophic for the whole ecosystem. So I just take that in part as we all humans are into nature. So if one of us is not involved, we can have a effect that's not good for the greater cause.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you know what, like that last part, damn, I consider myself to be someone who's pretty smart about thinking of concepts and how to explain things to people. And that last part, man, that gives me goosebumps. That's so fucking amazing. Like, I'm so impressed with that way you put it. It's wow. Sorry, that's fantastic. That's just so cool. I mean, it's such a great analogy. I love it, man. Thank you. Wow. Sorry, I need a minute after that. It's so cool. Okay. So, wow. So, yeah, obviously that was sort of going to be my one of my questions. My general question would be, you know, we often talk about the difficulties for anyone getting into this field, and obviously, you know, there's a lot of people who are in this field who have this. Let's be honest, this privilege, whether it be purely financial or whether it just be the way they happen to be born and the color of their skin, which is, you know, both of those things are not their fault, but also their facts that they have those opportunities because of just how they were born, where they were born, how they were born. But it's still challenging even for those people. Okay, so I can only imagine. I literally can only imagine how challenging it is for someone, you know, in your position, anyone from a marginalized community, a minority community. I can only imagine. I can try to understand it, but obviously, neither myself nor Michela can truly understand it because we have certain advantages, and I have the most of any of them because I'm a white male, and I know this. So, you know, anything I say is coming from that perspective of acknowledging it, but also not totally understanding it. But yeah, I mean, that was going to be my question: is like, what is your thoughts? What were your experiences specifically? I mean, obviously, it would be a multi-hour show probably for you to give us all the experiences you've been through and all the examples of the challenges you've faced. And clearly, we don't have the time and probably don't want to rehash it all. But if there's some things you could maybe share, if you're comfortable sharing with us, what it was like for you, and some things that maybe some of our viewers don't understand. Maybe they don't really know. Maybe they're not aware to it. Maybe they want to be aware. Maybe they're not. And if there's some things you could share with us, if you're willing, it would be really powerful and we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, I can share a little bit. I guess for starters, for me, like growing up, like I was really interested in wildlife and the outdoors, but for me, it wasn't really like expressed because though I wanted to do it, I didn't know like in what capacity I wanted to work with wildlife animals, because everyone that was working with animals that were black and other people of color that I saw as a mirror or representation of me were either vets or they were farmers. That was the only people who were people of color that were working with animals that I saw. But I grew up wanting to do what Steve Irwin, Jack Hanna, and Jeff Corrin was doing, but there was nobody doing that that was being broadcasted on TV, on the internet, well, eventually the internet when that came along. But that looked like me, that was black or brown or even indigenous, doing that, being a wildlife biologist or a conservationist or a zookeeper. So for the longest time, I went to school wanting to be a vet. And then when I actually got to not grad school, when I got to my university, I did that for about a semester and realized that vets, they have a high depression rate because of like the financial stress that's in there. Many times they're the last ones in the room when an animal is put down on top of long work hours. So I was like, I'm not gonna do this to my mental well being and be a vet. So actually, I was like, you know what, I like teaching. Maybe I'll be an educator. So I switched my major from pre vet biology to education minor in biology. And it was during that time that while I was taking my educational courses, I was also taking two biology courses. They were both field biology courses, ornithology, the study of birds, and mammalogy, the study of mammals. And I was able to get outside and actually like study animals and birds, and I was just like so excited to do that. And then two of my great mentors were um, professors of both of those courses, and they was telling me about like doing animal research, and you can make a career out of it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to make this work. So I switched my major back to biology and went into a wildlife management focus while taking those courses. And even during that time, like there are still very few people of color in my collegiate career that were taking these wildlife management and wildlife focused courses. I believe like in some of my classes it was three of us, and other times it was just me, and one or two times there was like maybe four or five of us. But it was still like the class is at least 30 deep. And some of those it's triple that, especially in the big lecture courses. And to only have a handful of us in there was definitely, um, I wouldn't say it was like disappointing, but it wasn't disappointing, but discouraging in a way. And it's like wow, there's not many of us out here. And then maybe looking into it, like how am I going to get into this field of just looking at the people that's in my classes, and there's only so many people that I can count on my hand. Imagine going to a field that is thousands to tens of thousands of people trying to get into the field like that. So, anyways, long story short, I graduated and I got a degree in biology and went off to um, Pittsburgh to work at the county park and did that for a little bit. Then I got a job with the Fish and Wildlife Service where I moved up, and I was the only black person, probably the only black person that have ever worked in that office. And going up there, it was really tough because I think it's like 15 hours away from Atlanta, maybe a little bit longer. Um, but being up there, the community like said the population was like 5,000, but that's probably was like for the whole county. The actual community was maybe 500 to 1,000 people, and I was definitely one of a few black persons and people of color. And then it was another thing was a lot of people of color that was there was also like immigrants. So even if I was like surrounded by people of color, it was still a different cultures like disconnect where we still knew recognized each other as being black and being a people of color, but it was so different because many of them had just came over. So it was good to see someone who looked like me, but it still was more than like a hey feeling. But working with the Fish and Wildlife Service, that's the only black person in that office, definitely was a tiring time, not only for some of the individuals I work with, but just working with some of our neighbors who had who was on our land or adjacent to the waterfowl production areas I manage. Like I got stopped with my full uniform by a neighbor asking what it was I doing um, while I was checking boundary signs and like redoing them. And they was like, what are you doing here?" Like, what do you think I'm doing here? Like, I have a full Fish and Wildlife Service uniform on.
Yeah.
What it looks like I'm doing. Um, then like he questioned me about what I was doing, and then I was telling like I'm changing these boundary signs, and he was like, "Well, when you leave, I'm just gonna shoot them back up." And then like there I was like, "Well, go ahead and shoot them back up." Like, I have you saying that I'm gonna give it to law enforcement, let them take care. He's like, "Oh, I'm just playing, I'm just playing." I'm like, no, like don't play like that. Like stand on what you're gonna say. But first of all, like questioning now, you saying this. Then
Right.
like other instances was like going to the weigh station, taking some of our trucks to the weigh station to get weighed, make sure they're up to federal standards. Like I go into the office of the weigh station, and then a white truck driver sees me and sees my uniform on, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Are you like in maintenance or something?" I was like, "No, I'm actually one of the biologists." And he was like, "Oh, my bad. Well, you need to tell them to stock this lake." I was like, "Well, actually, that's the DNR job. I'm a federal employee. We're working with endangered species." And then he was like, "Oh, sorry," and then just left like confused. But it was just that experience was like going into the office and immediately seeing me, a black man in a Fish and Wildlife Service uniform, and saying, "Hey, are you in maintenance?" Without thinking like, "Oh, I could be the biologist, the lead biologist, or even the refuge manager." But just pinning a ceiling on me before you even know me is just like wow, like how dare you? And is that what you think of? People of color is the highest level they can obtain in the Fish and Wildlife Service or any governmental agency, is that of maintenance or a secretary or anything that's not do with someone that has to have strong intellect, like a biologist or GIS analyst or something like that. But go ahead and put your version of a ceiling on me before you even know me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. It's so disrespectful and demeaning. And I'm sure there's so many other instances that you have endured that just, I'm sure sticks with you. And I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of other stories, but like that was like one of the most impactful because it was like my first time being away from home, like by myself, that
Mm-hmm.
many miles away, and like to hear this that I don't have a community to go back to and like express concerns is like
Yeah.
no disrespect to like allies and friends, like
No,
you guys like feel like can feel like empathy um for us, but like sometimes it just doesn't like
it's not the
fully,
same.
yeah, like relate to and can't like express like why does that bother you in a way that someone else can. So like not having that community
Yeah.
to be able to talk to.
It's not the same because I can't put myself in your shoes. I can only, the closest thing I can think of relating to is I went to a conference and it was mostly men, and it was uncomfortable, but that's not the same. It's not even close to the same. So that's a whole different level. So all I can do is sympathize, but what we can do is listen and, like you said, be allies, but it's just a whole different ball game.
I think the only way it changes is by having more people in it that from different communities, including yours.
Exactly.
That's the way it actually changes. And then everybody is allies sort of in a way, because there's actually people in there with you. You don't have to rely on some person trying to understand what you're going through, because there's people there who do understand it. And ideally, in the long run, as there's more integration, there's less for you to go through because these assumptions are not made. These ridiculous
Mm-hmm.
assumptions are not made. So, that's the answer. But of course, getting there,
Yeah.
you know better than me, but getting there is a high, steep hill to climb. But I guess
Yeah.
step by step, sort of. But yeah.
Yeah. And it does kind of bring me into my question for you too, Alex, and just not being a part of that BIPOC community too is just, you being such a strong person and, representing your community so well and loving this field, obviously, is that how do you teach others within your community how to handle those situations and, how to continue on in your field and, what advice do you give to people, such as Chris and I, and how to be better allies and represent you as well?
Yeah, I guess I'll first off with allies. The first thing is like one. Have you guys seen My Octopus Teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a scene in there when the octopus gets attacked and pretty like banged up from the sharks, and then the diver like interjects himself into her life and is like trying to like feed her and nurse her back to health. Well, like with that, it's similar like with a lot of BIPOC communities. Like the octopus knew what was best for her, and she needed to just like rest and like rejuvenate on her own. Well, that's sometimes how it is for like BIPOC communities. Instead of like forcing yourself and like, hey, you need this, like you need to learn how to swim, so I'm gonna teach you how to swim, without even asking like, hey, do you want to learn how to swim? Or maybe I don't want to learn how to swim, but I still want to work with marine life. Teach me other ways to do that. But it's maybe instead of like forcing them to say, hey, I have these resources, how can I be assistance to you? So that's kind of the first approach, is um, asking before like putting yourself in there into the place, but asking, "Can I help you?" or offering your help, because sometimes it might not be your help might not be needed at this point, or your help is needed in a different way. So first, kind of think about in a way that you can help, and then ask if it's okay for you to interject and help, because sometimes like for instance like maybe it's the police has been called and you're there, and if they're already having a conversation and you interject, like you could make the police like more hostile. But it could be a time where, hey, the police are coming, and now you can be the first interaction in between. So you have to kind of figure out, ask like, what can you do before you actually do it. Then again, like we talked about this earlier, like also like you using your privilege um, to help out the situation. If you are the manager for a certain um, agency, or really any organization, and you know that they're doing a horrible job of broadcasting the job announcement, figure out ways that you can better assist the announcement getting across. Maybe it's going to your local HBCU board and posting the job there, or it's reaching out to one of your colleagues who's a person of color and asking them to dismantle it through their resources. But it's also maybe challenging your job if you know that what they're offering internships, and it's not paying well. Asking like, what can we do to make it a better paying position, and sometimes it might be using a different internship service. There's a lot of internship opportunities that pay little to nothing in regards to the conservation field, whereas others you can get and you get a full salary. But so maybe I'm talking and using those other agencies that is more have a more comfortable stipend or a salary, and then others it's just taking a moment to like be there and listen without having to speak, but be a shoulder that they can talk to, they can help process. And then it's also like a lot of times like having that open communication, like, hey, my door is open if you want to talk, but not saying, how do you feel about this? Like, for instance, I guess like for me, I Ahmaud Arbery was murdered like 3 miles away from my field station, um, and I still had to go down there. But one of my advisors and professors, like, she actually reached out to us and said if we didn't want to, we didn't have to go down there, and asked how she could help us deal with the situation, instead of pushing herself on us and making us do things that we don't want to do, but allowing the space to be there for if we wanted to come talk, but still making sure we felt safe in a situation.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's I mean, I guess maybe, I mean, not to put words in your mouth, obviously, Alex, but maybe what it sounds like to me is it's about how, we, I guess, as allies can help you, not how we can make ourselves feel better for helping you.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
different there. There's a big
Mm-hmm.
difference, and it's about
Yes,
helping you and
exactly.
making you feel
Yeah,
welcome
not be the
and open and
savior.
supported,
Yes,
not
yes,
just trying to make ourselves feel better for something we did. So yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's
right,
important
right.
distinction. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I was gonna
Yeah.
say I like to call it like the overzealous helper or saver complex. Sometimes it's like
Oh,
it's my
absolutely.
duty to help. It's my duty to help them help you.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we also have to realize that, for instance, like maybe you like you give us access like keys to your house to go like find food, but you don't tell us like who's over at your house. There could somebody be someone confrontational at your house, or you give us um, the access to your fridge, but you don't give us the keys. So like access is another issue. Like you can give someone access, but if you don't give them all the tools, like
Right.
it's kind of pointless as well. So you need to make sure that when you are giving somebody access or help, you're being truly honest with them about the situation, and also making sure that in the event that you are providing help or access, it's not something that's going to be even more detrimental to them, or even have a different effect in one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I think we could probably talk for a long time. I mean, this is fantastic. I do,
Mm-hmm.
I guess we do need to probably move on to the second part of the show. Although, I mean, yeah, I would love to keep going on this, but yeah, it's like, you see, I can't believe
Wow.
it's already been 27 minutes because it feels like it's just so interesting. It's so interesting, and you're such a, speaker about it. I'd love to keep going, but I do, before I ask you for your field story, I thought I would, I'd love to get to know you as well as a person, not just
Mm-hmm.
for this topic, but as a person, as a biologist, as someone who loves nature. And there's so many ways we could talk about that, and that would be another hour, I'm sure. But I'm gonna, in honor of Nick, who's never here anymore, I'm gonna again steal one of his favorite questions, which is, this is totally separate. It's more of a lighter, more fun topic for sure. Is If you could just snap your fingers and you could just have like a private plane, forget about the environmental part of that. Just if you could just have a private plane with zero emissions to take you somewhere right now and see some species somewhere,
This
wherever it
is
is.
such a big
Yeah, I
question.
love this question because it's just such a cool, like, this is back in us who loves nature, right? So what would you go and see that you haven't seen anywhere? It doesn't matter. You can just teleport there. What would you want to see, man?
This is so hard because there's so many places, but
I know.
I would say Antarctica, because I really want to see the penguins there. Like penguins are my favorite bird, and like I
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen them before, but I really like penguins, the ones, especially ones that do toboggan, because
Okay.
they're like dressed in like tux, but they're toboggan, so it's like, hey, like I want to do this one day, like have like a fancy suit and tie party and dress in a tuxedo, then just like throw out a slip and slide and just go down it.
Yeah, they're so cool.
I love that, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow, that's super cool. I mean,
I
it's not.
love it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't have the big species like they have down there in Antarctica. But if you ever somehow manage to get up down here to Peru one day, you're welcome to come and visit our station, spend some time with us. And there are penguins off the coast of Peru, off Lima, so you can go see them. So one day if you ever get a chance to come down here and catch up with me and meet me down here, we can make that penguin thing happen. So let me know. That's cool,
Yeah.
man. That's great. I love that. It's fun, right? That's great. Anyways, yeah. So now it's time. Speaking of fun, let's transition into your field story, man. Let's go for it. Just hit us with whatever you want to share. Can be anything you want, man. So we're ready to hear it. Always excited to hear these stories. It's the crux of the show. Let's go, man.
Okay, yeah. So this one time I was in Wisconsin and I was checking our predator guards, and I was walking um, through one of our oak savannas, and all of a sudden I hear Velociraptor like call, and I was so afraid. Like I started running towards the truck because I didn't know what it was. Like I just know it was a dinosaur. It sounded just like the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park when like going through the kitchen, you hear that call.
Yeah.
Like I was sure like something big was coming after me, and like I had all my like field gear on, and I was like running, trying to carry my bag and my waders that I had, and I was like running,
Oh,
and like
no.
I get like probably like 30 yards from my truck, and I look up and I see two big birds, and they were sandhill cranes. And
Oh, that makes sense.
yes, and they were what they was doing when they were calling. It was bouncing off one of the predator guards and echoing.
Oh,
Oh, that's so
I
funny.
was so afraid. Like as soon as I got there, I was like, and then when I realized what it was, I was like, okay, I'm good. But that was scary. Like
They do sound like velociraptors. They've
right,
scared the living daylights out of me before.
that's so.
yes, it was horrible. Like
I love that. I mean, they
yeah,
kind of are dinosaur-like.
They
right,
are. They're
They're,
beautiful,
they're
but
crazy.
like
Yeah.
you're
yeah,
in an open field and you hear them, like you'll absolutely like shit your pants. Like
yeah,
they're so
exactly.
loud.
Yeah. What I'm curious, what I mean, maybe obviously you probably know what these are, Michela, but what the predator guards? What are they? Can you explain that to me, Alex? I've
Okay,
never
yeah.
heard of them.
So the predator guards, so they're basically like metallic or they're metal like sheeting, but they're shaped like cones, and we put them around poles for wood duck nesting boxes. So they
Okay.
sit below it, so like anything tries to go, it stops, and then they're so slippery that it can't claw on it to like climb up it. So it's
Okay.
basically a megaphone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No
Okay. Okay. I
raccoons.
know what you mean
yeah,
then. Yeah, I can picture that. Okay. Oh man, that's so funny. Oh wow. Well, yeah, that's I mean, we all have those moments. We're all pretty tough in the field, but every once in a while you hear something, you're alone, and you're like, "What the hell is that sound,
Oh
man?"
my
It,
gosh.
it's yeah.
Every day.
I
yeah,
understand. Yeah.
it's
The
scary.
first time I was ever in the field alone here in the Amazon, and I heard there's a bird. I don't know if either you know it, but it's called a great potu. They kind of look like frogmouths in Australia, but they're like a
Okay.
different family. Like they're huge mouth
Yeah.
guys, not at night. And there's a species at night, and it has this roar, like out of the blue, roar.
Oh,
Nothing, no warning. Just you're walking alone in the dark, and suddenly just above you, roar. I was like, what the fuck? I just yeah,
Yeah.
dance man. It scared the hell out of me. I mean, now I'm used to it, but the very first time I was like, what the hell is this?
Oh my gosh.
Middle of the Amazon at night, like
Yeah.
10 p.m. This thing's about what the hell? Yeah,
Right.
so
Oh my, that's
I
crazy.
understand. Oh man, that's great. I love
Yeah.
it.
Oh man, that story reminds me of another one. I was in Malaysia looking for bats, and like I was walking, like it was probably like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and was walking down the mountain, and I made a step, and I heard like a growl. It sounded like some type of big cat, like a jaguar or something. And then like I looked at one of the rangers, and he was like, jungle cat, and that's all he said. I'm like, I'm in the front, my headlight is dim, like how big is this thing? And then so like we kept on walking in my head, I'm like I'm gonna use this parang and I'm gonna hit wherever comes. And then like when we got back to the base, I was like, yo, so how big it was? And then he was like, oh, it's like this big, basically like our like size of a bobcat. And I was like,
Uh,
oh, I definitely could have took that. But that was so much scarier, like in the dark with a dim headlamp.
Yeah.
That was the worst. Oh my gosh. I just remember doing like nesting surveys one night, and I had just like, you have the red lights on just because it doesn't spook the turtles. I don't know why, but I had like the Blair Witch Project in mind. And I'm like walking around and I just see like deer eyes like in the distance, and they're bobbing their heads. And I don't know why, but I was just like, I thought they were like Wendigos. And I was like, just like, and I'm like, they'll smell my fear, and I was like, I'll just like stare at them, and I was like, just keep walking. I was like, if I run, they'll run and they'll catch me. So I just like walked like just really casually to my car, and I was like, and I know I can't, because I used to work on a reservation. I was like, and I don't whistle, and I'll just walk, but if I run, they'll know. So I got in my car, and then I just zoomed off really quick. And I was like, and I just booked it. I was like, they're gonna get me. I was so panicked because like just the red light made it like seem so much more scary. I knew they were deer. Oh man, it was so embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're all tough, but once in a while, just that animal fear just kicks in.
Right.
I was like, I'll just act casual. It's okay.
That's so funny, man. That was awesome, man. Thank you for that. That was great. It was fun sharing those stories. Yeah, man, that was awesome, man. This is the whole episode was great. Really appreciated it. As I said, I feel like we could talk all night, but we'll probably wrap it up there. But I suspect, as I feel like all our guests are so good, we'll have them all on again. But I mean, I definitely would love to have you on.
I'd love to have you on again. Absolutely.
I mean, I think there's so much more ground to cover, so many things we can talk about, both in the field, both outside of the field. So, yeah, man, thank you so much for taking the time on a Monday night here to join us. I really appreciate it. And we'll definitely have you on again, man. And we'll make sure Nature Owl on Instagram, and we'll share your links. And we'll definitely hopefully get more people following you and more people understanding what you've been talking about. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I'm glad we could finally connect.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And make sure to say congrats to Nature Owl and his engagement.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're so excited about it.
You should be. So exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thank you for, talking about very important topics that we need to continue to talk about, especially in, times like this.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, man. We'll definitely chat again. Thanks.
All right. I'll take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was awesome. I mean, I really loved having him on the show. It was amazing. And I mean, I got to admit, the analogy he used about how an ecosystem doesn't function, when you have a species removed from it properly. And it's no different than when you have an entire group of people, a whole, race or cultural group, however you want to refer to it, just taken out of the equation. Of course, it's not going to function properly. It's such an obvious thing when you think about it. But I love the way he explained it. The analogy was, for me, I'd never thought of it that way. In fact, somehow it just never crossed my mind. And it's just so good, so fantastic. I really felt like those like 25 minutes of chatting with him just before we got to the story just blew by. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, oh my God, has it already been 25 minutes? Because I just found it so interesting. And he was so good explaining it. So I loved it. I loved having him on. It was fantastic. And I definitely would love to have him on again and chat with him about things.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he explained things so eloquently. And, I think he really hit the nail on the head where, we need to, especially as people not a part of the BIPOC community, where we need to sit back and listen to those members and really, especially as we are people of those privileges, we need to be those voices and listen to them and be their advocates and ask them what they need, as they, do not have a lot of those rights and privileges that we do have. So I think he really kind of gave us a good insight on the struggles that they do experience in the environmental world and that we don't really get to understand. So and I thought his story was pretty funny too, because sandhill cranes, they really do sound like dinosaurs and velociraptors. They really do. Absolutely. There's been a couple of times where I remember during my master's thesis where I was looking for spotted turtles, and I remember St. Hill crane swooping in and just absolutely scaring me to a point where I just like landed on my butt. Like they're absolutely terrifying, but they're beautiful. But
they're amazing.
They are.
Yeah, that's true. They are like, and I mean, those sounds sometimes like we're saying, like sometimes you you're tough and you're in the field and things don't scare you, but still once in a while things just
I know
reaction to something.
I really like to tell myself, I mean, I've ran into bears, and I like to think that I'm like, no, I'm like, hey bear, and I like to think like I can tough it out, but for some reason when I run into a duck that I cannot see in the brush, and I'll scream like a little child. Yeah, I don't know why that will get me, and I'll just seem like an absolute baby for some reason. And I'm like, and that one will get me, and I'm like, dang it. I'm like, I am a baby. I hate it so much.
Oh, well, it's okay. It's all just we're still animals. We still have these instincts that kick in.
I know, but I really like to think that I'm like the Tomb Raider out in the field. Like I wear like my tank top, I wear my cool cargo pants. Like I like to look sexy sometimes in the field, man. Like I like to think I'm a freaking badass. I got my little multi-tool, and then a fucking duck scares me. I fall on my ass. And then I'm not Tomb Raider anymore. It's just embarrassing. It's so lame.
That's so funny. Oh my God, you realize I would laugh so hard at you if that happened.
I know. That's why I work by myself in the field
all
the
time. Mercy. I would destroy you if I saw
I know.
that. I would have so much fun with that.
I know. Yeah.
Just imagining it is very fun for me, actually.
I know. Yeah. So I don't tell people all of this stuff. That's why everyone thinks I'm such a cool person. And that's why I work alone most of the time. This is why I work alone.
Oh wow, I'm so envious of you working alone. I miss that much. God. Anyways, that's internal Chris talking. Anyways, we should wrap this episode up. It was awesome. I appreciate it. We'll definitely have Alex on again. And,
absolutely.
It was a really, really good episode. And thanks to everyone for watching and for listening. And I'm sure everybody subscribes and watches every episode and listens to every episode. And make sure to give Alex a follow on Instagram as well, NatureAl. And we'll see you all next week with myself and Michela or Michela and me, or Nick and Michela and Nick and Nick. Who knows? Some combination of people will be talking.
Just to me. You. Honestly, bye everyone. Just me.
We'll talk to you with some kind of guest next week.
Just me as Tomb Raider. I'm just gonna dress up as Tomb Raider, everyone, and then start an OnlyFans. Yeah, that's right. That's what's happening, everyone.
Stop this recording. Goodbye, everybody. Ciao.
Bye.